not that song.
Yeah.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1071. I've done a lot of episodes. Hello, it's Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, the last place on Earth. Today, we are going to be bringing you a very interesting
Mike's Daily Podcast
into an interview with Richard Lynch. Plus, we'll hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Do you want to do something to make a podcaster cry while they're doing a show? Have their recording equipment die and then make it so none of the audio is saved? It's enough to make Haley the Semi not want to stay. No Haley on this show. We had a whole discussion about butterflies and hayrides.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It was going to be a pastoral podcast show, but that show has now died.
Mike's
Now let's get into
Daily
my
Podcast.
an interview with country music. He's the friend of many a country music legend and a great star with a new album. His name is Richard Lynch. It's going to be... Oh, but first off, we just walked in. Hi, Mike. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. How y'all doing?
It's a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what.
What?
I like country music, as you know, but I do not play the fiddle anymore because, well, it got a little too complicated. And I am a disgruntled fiddle player because of that.
Interesting. So if, like, I try something and I'm not good at it and I decide I don't want to do it, I can be a disgruntled whatever. A disgruntled video game player, disgruntled shoelace tire.
Yeah, you could do that too, but you would owe me money because I own the copyright.
I'd have to pay you royalties.
Exactly.
Mike, I'm looking forward to the interview, and I think I'm going to be on the podcast picture. That's right, you are. You're going to be part of the podcast picture, and so people can see you there at mikesdailypodcast.com. Also, go to mikesdailypodcast.com to help us out. There's an Amazon link. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, go through that link first at mikesdailypodcast.com, and that helps us out. Also, if you want to help us out through the PayPal, if you'd like to donate there, we'll send you a special greeting with all the Cafe Anyway characters like this guy.
Hello, Mike. I make the root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, boy.
Brewmaster, I would love it if, you could make some root beer for today's interview.
All right.
The only thing is, though, Richard Lynch is not here. I'll be speaking with Richard through the phone.
Yeah?
So he's not going to be able to drink the root beer unless we bottle it and mail it to him.
All right.
That would involve a lot of stamps, though, so... All right. Well, there's been a good conversation, Brewmaster.
What were you talking about?
Root beer. You make root beer.
I do.
Brewmaster's confused. Here we go.
Into an interview.
Hello, Richard Lynch.
Hey, Mike. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. You're calling from where today?
Well, I'm back home in little old town of Waynesville, Ohio, which is just north of Cincinnati.
Do you have snow?
Well, they had some snow while we were gone. We just got back from Alabama, and our timing was good. They got it while we were gone, but it's still kind of chilly up here, so we didn't get to enjoy that snow. Oh, darn.
Aww. What part of Alabama?
We were down in Dothan, Alabama, played a barbecue concert, a barbecue festival down there with some folks. It was a blast.
That sounds so fun.
Yes, sir.
I like the barbecue in Alabama. I lived there 2 years, and I remember it was really delicious.
Man, they treated us good. A lot of good food, a lot of good people down there. Met a lot of wonderful individual entertainers that we hadn't met before. It was a great experience. Got to do a TV show. It was a lot of fun.
Woo! Well, I'm glad you're getting exposure, and because your music is great, and
thank you.
And your new album is called A Better Place?
A Better Place. That's the new album, yes, sir.
And I was going to play the song A Better Place. And you, oh my gosh, this is produced by Billy Yates. Is that true?
Billy Yates produced the CD. Him and another writer wrote the song, and I couldn't be more proud of that CD. We've had a lot of success with it, and those who know Billy Yates knows he's a class act, and he's a awesome individual.
Richard, I actually got to interview him years ago when I was working at a country station, and he was such a nice guy. And then he released that song, that really, really sad song about the guy bringing the flowers to the grave of his wife, because he...
Flowers.
Oh, isn't that a look what it took for me to finally bring you flowers? Oh, it's such a sad song.
That song gives me goosebumps. Just to think about that song gives me goosebumps. What a song.
I think he performed it live too. I think I have it on cassette. I have so many boxes of cassettes. I'll have to start looking for it. Isn't it a great? It's a great song.
You know, that song is so well written, and Billy's version of that was so delivered so good. You know, people like Gene Watson have recorded that, and other folks also in the industry. It's just a well written, great country song.
And then Choices
by George Jones.
Yeah. That was a big song for George, and then and then Alan Jackson performed some of it when he was protesting the fact that they weren't having George Jones on, was it like the CMAs or the ACMs years ago, and he stopped. Yes. He stopped in the middle of the song and started doing "I Heard Choices." Yeah,
I remember that like it was yesterday. It was so cool. So cool.
So he was fun to work with, Billy Yates.
Oh, Billy Yates is a class act. He treated us really well. We still do shows together from time to time around the country, different things. And so, anytime Billy's interested in us doing something, we're right there with him.
And what did you, when you performed A Better Place, was there, what drew you to that song?
Well, the response I'm getting from this song is incredible. You know, we like doing it live, of course, and that gives you a real feel for what the public and what the audience thinks about your material. So we've been doing this song in different places around the country, and the last several shows we've done, people come right up out of their seats, and so their response to the music is incredible. They love that from the hard country music. I mean, it's from the heart. Country music's all about the heart, and it both to touch your emotions, and A Better Place definitely touches your emotions.
I was driving, it was raining, on my way to bring her roses. When I got there, oh, but I'm in a better place.
What got you into making music, Richard Lynch?
Well, I'll tell you, I was born into a country music family. My dad was a very well-renowned country entertainer, singer, worked with a lot of folks from his era, people like Bobby Bear and Glenn Campbell and Porter Wagner and on and on and on, Osborne Brothers, and he got to perform and do those wonderful shows with all those guys years ago. And as a youngster, I grew up watching my dad perform with those people, and I was inspired so immensely in that, I got to see Dad play with those people that I'd watch on TV, and so I was completely intrigued with the fact that that's what he did, and so I wanted to do it as well.
Ah, what an inspiration.
No doubt.
I love Bobby Bears. That's how I got to Memphis.
You know, Bobby Bear, I've met him a couple times in my life. We've talked about my dad, and ironically enough, I'm going to be playing a show in Minnesota this July with Bobby Bear. So it's a country music full circle, as you might say.
How cool. Wow.
Isn't that neat?
And now you cover You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma.
I did. David Frizzell is a friend of me and my wife's and some other folks that we've been acquainted with, and when we put this new CD together, You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma was one of the 12 songs that's on the new Better Place album. And like I mentioned, David is good friends with us, and and he's been gracious enough to, include us in some of his shows around the country. And he's also gracious enough to do a portion of his song on our current CD. And the young lady that did Shelley West's part is currently working with David Frizzell also. Her name is Stacy Houston. So Stacy Houston did the Shelley West part. I did my part, and then David chimed in to where it was a 3-part deal on the song, and we had a lot of good response with that song also.
I love that song. I remember when it was a hit, and I was a kid. My mom, we used to live in the San Fernando Valley, and on the weekends, she liked to drive out to the beach, out to kind of south of Venice Beach, if you've ever heard of Venice Beach. And there's a line in that song about Santa Monica Freeway sometimes makes a country girl blue. And I would always hear that line just as we were passing the Santa Monica Freeway and stuck in traffic, and it was so weird, country music, and yet country even identifies with someone living in California in a city somewhere. It's amazing.
Ain't that amazing, man? You think about that. Country music can reflect and represent people's values, once again, that come from the heart. Country music doesn't have to be just a guy out here throwing hay and feeding the cattle and the horses. Country music can represent people from all walks of life, like the Santa Monica Freeway, like the different towns around the country. And you'd be amazed how well received and how much people in Europe love this real traditional country music.
There's a full moon over Tulsa. I hope that it's shining on you. The nights are getting colder in Cherokee County.
Cat and a 2-room flat on a street in West LA.
You design and build barns.
I do. I've been building, good custom-built pole barns, agricultural buildings for a long time. I have a farm myself, and I work on the farm. I mean, my wife do a lot of stuff here. She helps me with the hay fields, and if we have something that needs done, whether it's the horses or the donkeys, she loves her donkeys, and so yeah, we have a lot of agricultural background between us, and we both love traditional country music, and we have a good life, and we're so thankful that we get to kind of live our life through our music.
You build barns, and I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Somehow I don't quite believe that.
How did you get started making them?
Well, I grew up on an old farmhouse, and it was a long, long lane off an old rural route road, and about 3/4 of a mile back the lane, and I lived on an old farm back there. And that being said, there was always chores to do, always things to repair on the old farmhouse and then the old barns, and I watched my dad work on the old barns and different things. And so I was the oldest of 6 kids, and out of necessity, I got to where I had to help Dad on a lot of things, and I picked up really well on how he did things, and I enjoyed how he could work on the old barn and the different things, and how he handled himself with the needs around the farm. So I just kind of fell in his footsteps.
That is so cool. You're so talented with music and with working with the land. And wait, now the donkeys, your wife likes donkeys, so she likes the ears and all that. They're kind of interesting animals.
Yeah, we have a total of six animals on the farm here. We got 2 full-size horses, a pony, which my granddaughter loves her pony, and then my wife, she loves. We have a standard full-size donkey and then 2 miniature donkeys, and she loves them donkeys more than anything. So
now are they
babies?
Now wait, they're not stubborn, are they? Or that's the mules that are.
Well, the mules are, kind of have the reputation as being stubborn, but make no mistake, these guys can be stubborn too.
Really?
I will tell you. Yeah.
They will sometimes just not move, or they do weird.
Well, some people make, would kind of look at their size, the miniatures, and think, well, what can they do? Trust me, they are strong as can be.
Oh, wow.
Just for example, the other day we were trimming their hooves, and we were down to the last little miniature donkey to trim, and had almost completely finished the last hoof. And he decided that he was done with me and the farrier cleaning the hoofs, and he just mowed me over right on through and said, okay, well, I guess we are done. So I'm tired of fooling with him. He's headstrong.
Oh, my gosh. That sounds dangerous.
Oh, it's not dangerous. He just set in his ways, and my wife would like to have seen that. She said, I told the story, but it's one of those things, just animals, they have a mind of their own.
What do you use to trim their hooves? I always wondered about that. Is there like some kind of like a sanding, like sandpaper thing, like you would sand?
No, we use the big metal snips, and they're actually like a big size toenail clipper. You use both hands, and you cut the snips off, and then you take the rasp and you even them up and level them out, trim off the edges, and we don't put the shoes on the donkeys, but so we just trim the donkeys up, and sometimes we shoe the horses. So kind of different little process, but
yeah, because the horses don't really like being shoed, do they? Or
well, there are horses that don't care for it, but our guys they're pretty good to work with. If they want a pair of shoes on, they pretty well take it. So and, that it helps them pretty well too, especially throughout the winter, so they're not having to be in the muddy pasture. And this time of year up in Ohio, you get pasture 6 months out of the year. The other 6 months, you're dealing with snow and ice and mud and everything else. So the shoes kind of help with that a little bit.
Right. So you said you're still got some snow going on in Ohio?
Well, we fortunately enough just got the snow behind us. There was just a little dab left down here in the fence row and then by the side of the road, but it's still not exactly warm up here. We came from 76 in South Alabama yesterday to 46 today for a high. So
yeah. It's
kind of culture shock.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about You Show Me Yours.
Well, the song You Show Me Yours, that kind of, I heard it, I liked it. My wife, she really liked it, and she kind of influenced me and told me that she thought that I needed to be having that song on the CD. And it's cute, and it's kind of got a little grooving type of bluesy country feel to it, and we decided to put that on there, and people hear that, and the first thing they think of is, wow, what is he talking about? Gives them room to think, gives them room to wonder,
Yeah. I like the line.
It's a fun song to play live too.
It's a really clever song, and I like the line, do I buy you a burger or a big diamond ring?
Yeah. Yeah, well, really well written.
I'm glad you don't use a lot of drum loops. Like, I was watching the ACM Awards recently, and it seemed like every song has a boom, boom, ta, a boom, boom, ta, like the old drum loop. And I mean, that was fine and everything with Shania Twain, but like everybody has it now, and it's just getting a little repetitive,
Well, it seems like today's country music has kind of lost its edge to be diverse, has lost its edge to be, all things. Country music to me should represent everybody's hearts and feelings and different tempos and different mindsets. But if you listen pretty much to today's country music, it just seems to be one type of beat and one type of direction. It seems like it's not near as diverse as it has been or should be. And I'm like you. I agree. I think it's really time for somebody to kind of take over the stage a little bit and get back on a traditional type of trajectory.
Yeah. Richard Lynch. That's who it should be.
Thank you, Mike.
And tell me,
great.
Now you got an interesting tempo in Hold Your Horses because it changes, and then you have a really cool turn of the phrase with Hold Your Horses, and it kind of reminds me of it's like one of those, do you love the rodeo or do you love me song? There've been some great rodeo songs about that, and I'm glad you took that theme with it. You took it a little different direction.
You know, in that CD, we wanted every song to be diverse and different enough to where it doesn't sound similar to any of the other songs. And if you listen to the entire album, there's very little similarity. And Hold Your Horses is a prime example of how I grew up in and around the agricultural, the farm way of life. And we have horses and livestock, and we don't currently have cattle anymore. I used to, but you know, it's just something that I relate with the fact that when I hear Hold Your Horses, I'm back on the farm. And then also you can kind of take the other coin and other side of the coin and realize, you know, there's a relationship that it's talking about, and Hold Your Horses can also reflect this relationship between this guy and this gal. Just a well-written song, and it's country music at its finest.
Well, Richard Lynch, it's been great talking to you. And, you know, it's so funny because if you type in Richard Lynch on Google, you get you, but you also get that 1970s actor that I remember in everything. He was on...
Scary movie.
Yeah, he played like vampires all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Richard Lynch. Now, Richard Lynch, the Irish actor, he's no longer with us, but I totally remembered him like from Battlestar Galactica. At any time you turned on TV or watch old like shows from the 70s, he was in everything. It's funny. And I never knew his name. And then I was like, oh, that guy was named Richard Lynch too. How funny.
Isn't that neat? And you know, once in a while somebody brings that up, that we sure correct them when they go to talk about the music. They figure it out real quick. Oh, that's two different guys.
Yeah. No,
well, Mike, thank you for having me, sir.
Richard, it was a pleasure, and enjoy your livestock, your donkeys, all your miniature ponies and everything. And it sounds like fun, like you're doing a great job, and keep on bringing us great music.
Well, Mike, thank you for playing my music, and we maybe will cross paths at some point, and I look forward to seeing you down the road, my friend.
He threw on his old blue jeans and dusted off his chaps.
All right, Richard Lynch. Yay. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And now it's time for the podcast picture.
And here's today's podcast picture.
As Benita mentioned earlier, it is a picture of her. You look great, Benita. Thanks, Mom! And next show, we're going to have Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, possibly Haley, if Haley's still not fuming from the fact that our recording instrument died on us at Cafe anyway. Brewmaster!
Yeah.
It was great having you on the show. You added a lot to it.
Thank you. Oh, boy.
And thanks to you, Disgruntled Fiddle Player and Benita. You're welcome, Mike.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!